Welcome back at Upon Further Review, and today we are talking with Blake Harris, who covers the Los Angeles Dodgers for True Blue LA, which is the SB Nation website that follows the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we're continuing our Major League Baseball team-by-team previews. Of course, we took a week and a half to 2 weeks off as we were just kind of trying to figure out what was going to happen. We still don't really know, but Blake is with us right now. Blake, we appreciate the time, man. How's everything going with you?
Everything's going well over here, hanging in as best as we can, but ready to talk some baseball to try to make this whole situation a little better.
Yep, again, we're working our team-by-team previews here leading up to the Major League Baseball season, which, again, we still don't know when that will be. Dodgers certainly pretty active in the offseason. This is kind of where we always start, Blake. Like, what is different about X team from the end of last year to this year? And certainly the Dodgers have made some moves. The big one, of course, getting Mookie Betts in that trade. Tell us a little bit about that one and maybe some other moves the Dodgers made this offseason.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, had you asked Dodgers fans or pretty much anyone with the organization, like at the end of January, early February, what grade they would have given the offseason, they probably would have said like a C, because essentially they didn't really make any moves. And of course they go out and they acquire Mookie Betts and David Price, and all of a sudden they're the absolute winners of the offseason. So, overall, that's, one of the biggest trades we've had in baseball over the last few years. It's not every day you can go out and acquire the second best player in baseball. So that was a huge move for the Dodgers. And additionally, acquiring David Price, who, is a former Cy Young winner, who I thought, eventually when the season gets around could be a huge piece for the Dodgers, because he seemed to have got a bad rap in Boston where a lot of fans just weren't impressed with him. But you look at his numbers last year before he had a major injury. He had an ERA of like 2.5. Just an overall really good pitcher that, especially after losing Hyun-Jin Ryu, losing Rich Hill, that was a really nice addition to the starting rotation. And moving along from those pieces, they acquired Brusdar Graterol from the Twins, who can be a nice piece for their bullpen moving forward, who I personally think a few years down the line can potentially replace Kenley Jansen as their closer. So that's another really good move. And Blake Trinan, a name that not too many fans remember from last year because he was horrific, had an ERA of like 5, but 2 seasons ago, Blake Trinan was arguably the best reliever in all of baseball. So if you're the Dodgers and you can get the 2018 version of Blake Trinan, you pair him with Kenley Jansen, that could be an absolutely lethal bullpen, which in my opinion, I understand Mookie Betts is a great move, but we know Mookie Betts is going to be great. He's going to be an all-star, but I think Blake Trinan, he could be the X-factor signing of the offseason because, as I mentioned, if he goes back to his 2018 form, all of a sudden the Dodgers have, without a doubt, the best bullpen in all of baseball.
No doubt. Yeah, Blake, you'd mentioned, I'm glad you did there right at the top. If there was an offseason that was going on where all the top players were going elsewhere and the Dodgers were kind of seen as they were sitting on their hands a little bit, and even me as a guy just not a Dodgers fan or anything like that, just a baseball fan, I was like, man, the Dodgers, I think they just got to make some move. What was that like for you from the Dodgers' perspective? Knowing you have a really, really good roster, but there were these stars just going elsewhere.
It just seems like every offseason, the Dodgers always seem to strike out on the big free agent name. But this offseason, it just seemed different. It seemed like the front office, they were willing to spend. Now, there were names like Garrett Cole, Anthony Rendon. Now, obviously, the Dodgers weren't going to get both, but there was a strong belief that they were going to get at least one. Now, it seemed like Garrett Cole was kind of like the main guy. Now, it turns out the Dodgers did offer him $300 million. Now, he opted to go to the Yankees. But after that came out that the Dodgers offered him $300 million, everyone, the narrative was like, wow, the front office actually wants to spend now. So, of course, then it all shifted to Anthony Rendon, and everyone thought, well, if they're going to offer Cole $300 million, they're going to offer Rendon something similar. Then it comes out that not only does he not sign with the Dodgers, he signs, just 30 minutes away down the freeway in Anaheim, and he came out and said he didn't want to deal with the Hollywood lifestyle. So that was a major, major blow to Dodgers fans. And not only did they strike out on the number one pitching name on the market, they struck out on the number one, hitting and fielding name on the market. Not only that, he didn't even want to come here. So there was, I'm not going to say concern, but definitely after those comments from Rendon and the fact that the Dodgers did strike out on the biggest names, people were beginning to worry is, what's the deal? Are they not offering the money? But even if they are offering the money, why aren't players wanting to come here? Not only are you coming to the Dodgers, who are, the best team in the National League, you're coming to Los Angeles, which, having been in Los Angeles my entire life, I don't know how you can't sell someone on moving to Los Angeles, the best city out there. So there was definitely some concern. But again, the fact that the front office, they showed that they were aggressive, especially early on in free agency. That's something Dodgers fans wanted to see, because in years past they have been kind of on the cheap side. So as long as they're willing to spend money, it's okay if they strike out on some of the biggest names.
And with the trade of Mookie Betts, getting Mookie Betts, was all forgiven then?
All was forgiven. I mean, Andrew Freeman, they have this annual Dodgers Fan Fest at Dodger Stadium that happens every year in January. And supposedly, I mean, I wasn't there, but a lot of friends and whatnot that were there, they said Andrew Freeman got booed when he came out during Fan Fest to give his interview. Now, of course, this is like 1 week before the Mookie Betts thing. And now, Andrew Freeman, everyone was saying they need to build a statue for him outside of Dodger Stadium. So 1 week he was getting booed. The next week people are saying he needed to have a statue built for him. So, yeah, quite the 1 week turnaround for Andrew Freeman, to say the least.
Well, a top 3 lineup and a top 3 pitching staff, if not at the top. And then certainly when you look at the entire roster, the depth that the Dodgers have in their organization and in their system, it's outstanding. And it's kind of the model franchise when it comes to all of that talent. When you look at the group this year, the guys that are on this roster, we've mentioned Mookie Betts, certainly. Obviously, everybody knows about Cody Bellinger and Justin Turner, and as we move through the lineup, I guess who is somebody in the position player realm for the Dodgers that you're kind of looking at as an interesting or an intriguing person heading into this season?
And it's tough to say because you got Mookie Betts, former MVP, Cody Bellinger, former MVP, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Corey Seager. All these guys are all-stars, so those guys, if things go right, if they stay healthy, they're going to perform at the highest level. The guys that I'm really looking forward to seeing are two of the young guys, Will Smith and Gavin Lux. First with Will Smith, we only got like a 50 or 60 game sample size from him last year, but he was fantastic. He had like 16 home runs, hit about 40 home runs between AAA and the big leagues last season. So I'm excited to see a full season under his belt. The Dodgers, that's something they've kind of lacked over the last decade in position-wise with the catcher. I mean, they had Yasmani Grandal, but come playoff time, he wasn't really a good fit. So if Will Smith can turn into, the catcher the Dodgers need, that's going to be huge. And then the next guy I'm really looking forward to is Gavin Lux, number 2 prospect in all of baseball. He's like number 2, number 3 across every ranking system. Had about a month last year in the show. Didn't go too well, didn't really hit that well. Really struggled in the postseason, but only 21 years old. I'm really looking forward to seeing him take over at second base, take over the helm. And the fact that you're taking, the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, and he's going to be your number 8 hitter, I think that's something to really look forward to. Because as I said, that's a deep lineup. It's not every day you can have a lineup that has 2 MVPs. And this is a lineup where if Gavin Lux and Will Smith can make an all-star team, you're going to have a starting lineup where you have 8 guys there that are current or former all-stars, which is something that's a deep lineup that I don't think I can recall as of late. So overall, 1 through 8, across the board, fantastic. But the 2 young guys, those are who I'm looking forward to seeing most this upcoming season.
Right. In the pitching staff, you take a look at what Walker Buehler did last year, and then look at what Clayton Kershaw did last year. I mean, obviously Buehler outperformed him. Are we at the point now where we're saying, this is not this is not a problem or anything like that. This is a good problem to have if it is a problem at all. Who's your ace? Is Buehler the guy? Has he gone over Kershaw by now?
That's the tough thing to admit because, this will always be Clayton Kershaw's team. If Kershaw's pitching when he's 45, it's still going to be his team. But Walker Buehler, he's officially taken over as the ace, which it's kind of funny to talk about Clayton Kershaw, where it's kind of, you look at his numbers last year and you're like, wow, he had a down year. Whereas his ERA was like just above 3, where by like 95% of pitchers across the game, that's like a career year for them. And we're talking about that being kind of like a down year for Kershaw. But this is Walker Buehler's, he's the ace. He's the number 1 guy for this team. Clayton Kershaw's the number 2. Kershaw was supposed to get the opening day start this year, but that was kind of more of like a sentimental thing, I think, because everyone knows where if this was the playoff series, Walker Buehler, he's on the mound in game 1. So, yeah, Walker Buehler, he's definitely the ace of the starting rotation, but it's still Clayton Kershaw's team, if that makes any sense of sort. But I think Kershaw, for him, he has no problem passing the torch down. He's been a great mentor to Walker Buehler. He's been great in the clubhouse, great in the locker room. He's taught him a whole bunch. If you're Walker Buehler, it's not a bad guy, to loarn from when you're coming up to the show, learning from Clayton Kershaw. But, yeah, I think officially we saw kind of last year throughout the season, especially in the playoffs. But Walker Buehler now is the official the ace of the Dodgers starting rotation.
I don't think the Dodgers are in any danger of their NL West streak coming to an end, but trying to take that next step certainly is what's there. Who needs to have a breakout season or just take an improvement or a progression in that starting staff? I
really think that there's 2 guys I want to mention. David Price, I think for the Dodgers, he just needs to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, if he can get starts for them, that's going to be a bonus. If he can keep that ERA under 4, I think they'll be more than happy with that. I think the guy that really needs to take the next step is Julio Reyes. Now, this is a guy where he's been in the Dodgers organization for, I think, 7 years now. It's kind of funny where I think if you look at the active 26-man roster, he's, I think, like the second youngest player on the team, but he's currently like 4th in regards to longest tenure with the team because he was signed when he was 16, came up when he was 19 years old, and has had a bunch of injuries, had some off-the-field stuff, but he's fully healthy, fully ready to go for a season. And I think this is a guy where a lot of Dodgers fans have kind of forgotten. He was supposed to be like a number 1, number 2 type starter when he initially signed with the team. The Dodgers held on to him for many years because they didn't want to give up on him because they knew that he has a chance to be like a Walker Buehler type guy. So I think Julio Reyes, we've seen what he can do, pitching 2 to 3 innings at a time, very dominant. But now it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to take that next step, if he's able to go 6, 7 innings on a consistent basis because, as I mentioned, he has the stuff. We've seen it before, but we haven't seen him consistently do it without getting hurt, consistently go, as I mentioned, 6, 7 innings. So Julio Reyes, he's going to be their number 4, number 5 starter, but with a lot of other teams, he could easily be their number 2, their number 3, maybe some teams even a potential number 1. So it's a very deep starting rotation, but Julio Reyes, I think he has a chance to have a breakout season. He definitely has a chance to be an all-star. I think he definitely has a chance to be maybe top 15, maybe even top 10 in Cy Young voting when the season's over.
And I think, Blake, you probably reached the point, I guess, Dodgers fans, there's only one way they're going to be happy at the end, right?
That's one way, and it's a way they've been waiting and hoping for over 30 years now.
Right. We're talking World Series championship. Blake Harris, appreciate the time, Blake. And again, here's to getting baseball sooner rather than later, but stay safe out there, all right?
No worries. Thank you for having me on.